I was the CEO of Diplomats. I made Diplomats with him. I was with him for every bit of his journey. I held him down. I took that position of holding him down.
I'm gonna address a couple things because we've been on vacation and a lot of niggas been talking since I was off vacation. We're gonna start with Jomo. We'll start with Jomo. And you are a guardian angel and designer, nigga. What the fuck is you talking about, my nigga? You are from the Bronx, bro. You are not from Harlem. Why do you keep thinking that you are from Harlem, bro? You are not from Harlem. I did not grow up with you, my nigga. I did not grow up with you. Contrary to what you believe, I did not grow up with you. You are from the Bronx. Did your grandmother live? Did your grandmother live in Harlem? Yes. Did you come see her? Yes. Did I see you time to time? Yes. I did not grow up with you. You talk about dick riding down. That's where this old shit. I would have left you alone. I would have left the old shit alone. But listen, dick riding. Do you remember how we met, nigga? Pause. Not met. How you got cool with us? This is how this started. I want y'all to go Google Camron 1995 freestyle. You was a fan. You begged us. You are a fan, nigga. A fan. So you can sit around and act like you've been around all this Harlem shit and everything. You ever see somebody from Harlem try to act like they from Harlem so bad that you got to keep saying, I'm from Harlem? From Harlem, know who's from Harlem. You don't have to keep saying you from Harlem. Yeah.
Mace need to go on a diet. He need to get his life together. He need to go to the doctor and get a physical. He looked terrible, bad body, back ass. He look big around the neck, waist look crazy. I'm body shaming his. You heard? He need to go get his shit together, get on the treadmill, do some push-ups, do something. You heard? Especially for playing with me.
What if everything you thought you knew about Jim Jones just got flipped on its head? What if the man who's been claiming he built Mace and Camron's legacy was really just a loud fan who finessed his way into the room? What if the truth is, he owes all his shine to them?
Yeah, listen, man, listen. You were fanned out and you begged niggas to come to your house after you heard all these mixtapes. That's how you got in. Mace actually taught you how to rap. Literally. He taught you how to rap.
Back when Dipset had the whole rap game on lock and that diplomatic immunity era felt bulletproof, what if the real roots of that movement weren't even his? What if the one screaming the loudest about being the boss was really just lucky to be standing next to greatness? And now the truth is starting to leak and it's not looking good for Jimmy. His struggle to stay in the spotlight is starting to look more like a man drowning than a man grinding. How long can you ride a wave before the people who actually created it say enough is enough?
You say it. We taught you how to rap. How you ran the whole organization. How you made Diplomat. Yeah, you ain't make none of this stuff. You was a fan. That's how you got down originally. Period. I heard the new shit you did. Yo, you want to come through? Come through. Why? Why are we going to Jomo's house? So yeah, I would bring some bitches over there to sometime. A little crack maybe. Every nigga that put hands on you or you get to take you cool with him. You tried to chase French Montana out the game. That ain't work out. Y'all got cool. So cool that you go to his video shoot. Pardon me, not his video shoot, his movie. You're sitting in the crowd watching the premiere, and they dissing you in the movie. You in the movie getting dissing. You gotta eat it, just sitting in the crowd. Nah, they dissing you in the movie that you went to go see, bro. Every nigga.
In hip-hop, there's always been one golden rule. Respect is earned, never just handed out. You can't just claim a block you never bled for. You can't remix your own past like a throwaway tape whenever it suits your image. And you definitely can't try to take credit for another man's blueprint without catching heat. But Jim, he's been towing that line for 20 years now. And finally, the real architects of that legacy are stepping forward, ready to air it all out. The wildest part? Jim just said he was the CEO of the Diplomats, that he held it down for Maze and Cam, but that ain't just a stretch. That's a full-blown rewrite of the history books. In a place like Harlem, saying you built something when you ain't even laid down a single brick, that's wild, and people are not letting that fly. Not with the way Jim says it like it's solid truth. It's almost comical. That's what happens when someone tells the same story on repeat for so long. They start drinking their own Kool-Aid and thinking it's real. But here's the catch. When your whole legacy is borrowed from somebody else's grind, the real ones always come back to collect. I never needed us. You were a fan. Boom, ice cold.
When you ran in the hotel, they chased you to the beach. Yeah, they chased you to the beach. You was in the sand. was getting wet from the water, from the ocean. I don't pump that. I don't pump all that because I ain't trying to make the great Shakira. You know why? Because the revolution was televised. That's why I'm here. That's why God worked like that. That's why me and Murder is here. The revolution was televised. Because you talking about.
Camron didn't just call him out, he crushed the whole myth with one line, "You were our fan." 4 words that knock out 20 years of tough talk and claims of being the boss. This ain't about petty drama or wounded egos. This is about real versus fake, builders versus riders. And Cam made it loud and clear what side he's on, and it ain't the one he's been screaming about in interviews. Then Cam peeled back the layers even more, exposing why Jim's been reaching so heavy all these years. When you ain't built your own thing, you start craving validation like your life depends on it. That's not loyalty, it's fear. Fear of being exposed, fear of being seen for what's really going on behind that persona. All image, no foundation. That flashy public image Jim's been holding on to, it's been running on borrowed credit, but once the cracks show, the only play left is to go even harder with the tall tales and pray nobody lifts the curtain. But now, it's already been pulled back. Cam hit him with, "He taught you how to rap." Just like that, the whole script flips. Jim didn't discover Cam or Mace. He wasn't the mastermind. He wasn't no co-founder. He didn't build the house. He just showed up once it already had walls and a roof. The mixtapes were buzzing, Dipset was already moving, and Jim found a way in, not as the leader, but as somebody trying to catch the wave before it passed him by. That's a hard pill to swallow, but it's finally out there. And now, everything changes. All of Jim's wins, the tracks, the features, the moments, suddenly look like they started with one major play, convincing 2 rising stars to let him ride their momentum. That's not the story he's been telling, but that's the one that's being told now. A fan who slid in and never looked back. But here's where it really hits, especially for folks who know how the streets move, begging to get put on. That's a major L for your image. That's not how the real ones move. Real leaders don't chase, they create. They don't ride, they build. And now Jim, he's not looking like a builder or a boss. That hurts. At this point, it ain't even about whether Jim had a part in Dipset's rise. The real question is, how long can you stack success on someone else's grind before the foundation cracks and the real creators yank it all down? In the game, respect is currency. And Jim's stock just hit rock bottom because when the same people who brought you in start snatching your seat away, ain't no graceful exit from that. And the part that's cutting deepest, Jim's been telling this same story for 20 years. But the truth don't shift just because the crowd changes. Fake stories bend, real ones stay solid. The moment that timeline starts glitching, it all collapses. Jim's been remixing his origin for decades. But the receipts don't lie. When your past starts exposing your present, that's not just embarrassing. That's a whole career on the edge. And Cam ain't bluffing. He said he's got proof. And when somebody says they got receipts, you already know what time it is. Believe it, this ain't just loud talk anymore. They're about to press play, and what Cam's gearing up to reveal, it might straight up wipe out whatever credibility Jim had left. Just listen to Cam's voice, cool, calm, confident.
Stop tricking out their freedom, bro. This is gonna be the last time I address this. Whatever you got to say after this, good luck, I wish you luck. I got other shit to do. This is not on my motherfucking plate. Believe what you wanna believe, because I got other things to do. You feel me, Murder?
That's the energy of someone who knows the truth is locked and loaded. When you got proof, not rumors, but straight up video footage, there's no need to argue. You just sit back and let the tape speak for itself. The same man who's been running around acting like he was Dipset's CEO, the glue that held the crew together, the shot caller, he's on camera admitting that Mace was the one who taught him how to rap, not the other way around.
Mace taught me how to rap, and Cam always made sure I was on every single album he had. He was like, boy, once you figure out how to rap, the same way you act in these streets is gonna work for you. Just keep going. And that's all so I always gotta give credit where credit is due and shit like that. It would be no Jim Jones.
That ain't just a contradiction, that's a full-blown confession. Let's call it what it is. Jim didn't create Mace. Mace made Jim, point blank. And now, Jim's own words are confirming everything Cam and Maze been saying for years. He gave them the ammo, he loaded the clip himself. All they had to do was hit play, and it doesn't stop there. Jim's not just twisting the Dipset story, he's been remixing basic facts about their friendship, like saying Cam was sleeping on his couch needing help, when the real story is something completely different. That's not a small mix-up, that's a full rewrite of the past, just to look like the hero. This is what happens when folks try to make themselves the center of a story they didn't even start. trying to be the boss, the backbone, the head honcho. But when you're up against people who actually lived it, those fake tales start sounding like lies real quick. And now those lies are coming back to haunt him loud and clear.
What was your reaction when Camron brought up all these old stories and everything about you?
I laugh, man. I got this thing, man. People laugh at the lies, but the truth always hurt. You know, lies are more entertaining. You heard? You get to laugh, you get the joke, but the truth is a serious thing, no matter how you look at it. The truth is what the truth is.
But here's what makes this whole thing even crazier. Jim can't clap back. Why? Because it's his own voice doing the damage. How do you argue with your own confession? How do you say you built someone up when you already admitted straight out your mouth that they taught you the game?
You know, the internet gets kind of crazy with the lies. The lies get going crazy on the internet.
I mean, well, the lies start from a narrative, and the narrative starts from a person, and you just got to look at it like that. But I've never been one in my life to care about clearing up no rumors. Like, that just takes time out of my day from making money. I know who I am. I'm very comfortable in my skin. I stand 10 toes down on everything I believe in. I don't change my pivot, and everybody knows that. I mean, as you can see, I would not be here if I did anything else but be me.
While Jim's been out here stumbling over his own words, the ones who actually witnessed Dipset's rise from the ground up have been quietly watching. And now they're ready to drop some behind-the-scenes heat that could flip this whole story on its head. Because once all the noise dies down and the smoke clears, the real truth never comes from the loudest voice. It comes from the people who were really there when it all went down. Take Jules Santana, for example. He said everything was cool at first, and the way he said it, calm, director. No yelling, no wild energy, just straight facts. That's how you know it's real. Folks who lived it don't need to perform. They just speak and let the truth carry its own weight. Now this is where it starts to get messy. Choke No Joke jumped in and confirmed that, yeah, Jim did have some authority back then. He had real pull in the streets and the business side. So no, this ain't about calling Jim a total fraud. It's deeper than that. It's about someone who had a position but couldn't stop reaching for more. Jim wasn't just some tag along, but he also wasn't the top dog either. He wasn't the founder. He wasn't the visionary. He was more like middle management in the building, but trying to rewrite the script to make himself the star of the show. And now, that version of the story is collapsing fast. Now here's the line that's about to spark a whole war in the comments. Choke No Joke said, "There's no Dipset without Jim," and called him the muscle behind it all. But before Jim's crew starts celebrating, let's unpack what that really means. Being the muscle doesn't mean you were the mastermind. Playing a major role doesn't mean you were the one calling the shots. Jim definitely had a presence, no denying that. But his role was more about holding it down for the squad, not leading the creative direction. And in this game, there's a big difference between being important and being in charge. What we're seeing now is two versions of the same story, both coming from folks close to the truth, but each shining a different light. Santana and Choke No Joke aren't out here blindly riding for Jim. They're speaking up for the parts of his story they actually saw firsthand. Real moments, real moves, maybe even some things Cam and Mace are brushing off now, but let's be real, this back and forth, it's a chess match. Cam and Mace are downplaying Jim's role to expose just how far he stretched the truth over the years. Meanwhile, Jim's supporters are hyping up his legacy to kill off that just a fan narrative. Both camps are tossing around pieces of the truth like puzzle pieces, trying to shape the full picture in their favor, but like always, the real story lives somewhere in the messy middle. And in the world of street cred, perception sometimes hits harder than facts. Right now, Jim's losing that image war, and fast. Here's the wild part. When it comes to street politics, loyalty runs deep until somebody starts shining too bright. That's when real envy starts slipping out. And what's coming next? It's about to reveal who had that jealousy in their heart the whole time. Then Choke No Joke took it a step further and flipped the whole script, saying it was Cam who couldn't handle Jim's rise.
I was at Jim album release party, and everybody was over there with Jim, and Cam is standing over here with like 3 or 4 people just looking on and couldn't believe that Jim is the guy. There's no Dipset without Jim. Jim is the gangbanger of the crew. Cam is not a blood. I don't even know if Jewels was. I doubt Freaky was, right? But the set, it comes from the gang, right? All the gang all ran under Jim.
Right.
All of the muscle, the wedge that came between Cam and Jim is Jim's success. Cam always looked at him as being the star, Jim being capo. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
but it's kind of like Sammy the Bull becoming John Gotti. You know what I'm saying? Gotti's probably gonna feel a little way if Sammy becomes the main man. You know what I'm saying? And in that situation, that's what it is. Jim.
But before anyone takes that as gospel, let's break it down. There's history here. Choke and Cam Ben had beef, deep personal stuff that didn't just stay behind the scenes. At one point, things got so heated between them, it almost turned physical. Just because Choke gave props to one of Jim's mixtapes, that tells you everything you need to know about where this bias is coming from. So when Choke jumps out defending Jim, it's not just about loyalty, it's about payback.
But now people got these platforms where, you know, they asking people, so it's like a thin line. So then you got Jim, like, it's just like people say, you can't respond. Even though Jim wasn't attacked, his name was mentioned. You understand what I'm saying? So now it opens the door for Jim to say something back. That's what happens. You know what I'm saying? With these podcasts and shit like that. So it opens the door, and Jim chose to, you know, Cam and Jim history go back before me. You understand what I'm saying? When I met Cam and Jim, they were super close. So I honestly don't really know Jim being from the Bronx and all that. You know what I'm saying? When I met them, they was in 5H, which is, you know what I'm saying, Jim's apartment, and that's, you know, like, I guess that time was after all the stuff Cam had said already with the Children of the Corn and Jim, you know, whatever he said. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, when I got there,
he's using this messy moment to fuel a storyline that fits his long-standing grudge with Cam. Now he's out here painting Jim as some kind of protector, the muscle who kept Cam safe. But look real close and peep the timing. There's always more going on behind the scenes. Jim just dropped a new project, The Church Steps, in February 2025. And just like that, the Dipset drama is suddenly back in the headlines. Coincidence? Not likely. It's way too convenient. When you're trying to draw eyes to a fresh album, nothing gets the blogs buzzing like reviving some old beef. And Choke no joke, he's the perfect co-signer to back it up, especially since he's got his own grudge to settle. When personal baggage collides with public beef, the lines between truth and strategy get real blurry. Even Freaky Zeke, who's been trying to stay neutral in all this, admitted that the drama didn't start out that serious. But once outside voices jumped in and started fanning the flames, things spiraled quick. And ask yourself, who benefits the most from dragging old wounds back into the spotlight? The one whose new project depends on keeping that spotlight alive? When the music ain't moving units and the story don't hold weight, that's when folks usually start swinging low, throwing threats, talking reckless, taking it personal. And now, Jim's about to show just how far someone will go when the usual tricks stop hitting, because Cam didn't just clap back, he dismantled Jim's whole street-built image brick by brick. This ain't just about old beef anymore. Cam's painting a full-blown pattern, a deep look into who Jim really is behind the scenes. According to Cam, Jim's not moving with respect, loyalty, or any kind of code. It's all about clout, spotlight, attention, at any cost. And that right there, that cuts deep, because it shatters the whole persona Jim's been pushing for years. The tough guy, the protector, the backbone of Dipset. Cam says that image, gone, all off one story, and he claims he's got witnesses ready to back every word. Cam sounds unbothered. And in this game, when someone stops treating you like a rival and starts treating you like background noise, that's the real slap in the face. And the real kicker? Jim keeps claiming Cam is doing this for clout, saying he's the one chasing views and attention, but let's check the actual scoreboard. Who's been popping up in every interview lately? Extra, extra large, Cam Capone, any platform with a mic and a camera? That's right, Jim himself. The same guy throwing around clout chaser accusations is out here on a full-blown media tour, and here's where it gets even more telling. When one interviewer finally pressed Jim to break down the real issues with MASE and Cam, he froze. After all that talking, the energy, the back and forth, nothing, no answers, no receipts, just blank stares. That's what happens when your whole narrative is built on smoke and mirrors. Once people start asking real questions, the whole illusion starts cracking. Jim can talk slick when he's setting the tone, but the moment someone else takes the wheel and asks for proof, dead silence. And now we're watching it unfold in real time. This is what it really looks like when someone's been living in a made-up version of the past, and the truth finally pulls up with receipts. When reality hits harder than the lies, it starts to feel like the enemy, and just when you thought it couldn't go any deeper, Cam delivers the real blow. This ain't just some personal beef. According to Cam, this is a pattern. He's calling Jim out for something way bigger, saying every artist who links up with Jim ends up worse off. That's not leadership, that's leeching. That's draining the very people around you to stay relevant. But what comes next might be the most damaging truth yet. Cam just exposed the final piece, claiming that Jim's been on a quiet mission to tear him and MASE down through negative press for over 10 years. This isn't some fresh back and forth. This is a decade-long obsession from someone who can't seem to let go of the past. And why? Because the past is the only place where he still mattered. This whole situation ain't just about three Harlem icons clashing over old wounds. It's about something deeper, authenticity in hip-hop, the divide between builders and clingers, between those who grind from the dirt and those who ride the wave of someone else's legacy. Jim's whole story just turned into a cautionary tale. What happens when your whole brand is built on borrowed shine? And now, Cam and MASE didn't just clap back. They exposed it all. They let the receipts do the talking. Jim's own interviews, his own contradictions, his own words, all pointing in one direction, a carefully built image that's finally falling apart. After 2 decades of bluffing, the truth is out. If you found this breakdown eye-opening, hit that like button, drop a comment with your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into hip-hop's realest moments, and make sure to share this video because the truth, it deserves to be heard. See you in the next one.